Lord God, her name was Sally. She lived in the Kanawha Valley, just outside of Charleston,
West Virginia, abroad around us. West Virginia, abroad around us. Abroad around us. The gentleman's got the frauderizing. Got caught Skylark in a Parkersburg. Only river wobble water spark the herbs. Got the Braxton County Booker weed. Look at me with Tommy Wildfire out back cooking beef. Dingus, Stinkfinger, pinkest drink drinker. Rinky dink stink lingers on my blingy pink finger. Dead ringer for death eating a cracker. Part-time slacker, full-time slow. It's kind of funny how girls want my genitals after they saw me in the trunk on World's Dumbest Criminals.
Well, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the second Who is Dingus Stinkfinger podcast. Coming at you, this is May 14th, 2019, a wonderful evening here in Lewisburg, West Virginia, and just wanted to get on here and tell you guys a little bit about the weekend we just had. Quite a good time on Friday night. We had a comedy show, the first ever at the Burrito Bar in Lansing, West Virginia, and had a decent crowd. Unfortunately, two comics were coming down from New York City, ran into a little bit of car trouble somewhere in Pennsylvania. It took them about 4 hours to get a couple new tires. So we were pushing back the show as much as we could, and but we got through it. We had a couple comics. I kind of put the line out there. If anybody wanted some time, come down and try to work something out and get you on stage. So I had a fella named James Ramsey came down, and I guess he's originally from that area. Said he used to do comedy in Des Moines, hadn't done comedy for a few years, so got up and looked like he just jumped right back on the horse. So thanks, James, for coming out. And also Stephanie Hall happened to be there already, and so she got to get up and do a little bit of time. Seth Taylor pushed his time from, I think he was initially supposed to do 10 minutes, ended up doing a half an hour of absolutely stellar comedy. I booked him on the show right after I had first seen him, and knew I wanted to work with the guy. Between the time I booked him on the show and the actual show, he went out to do the World Series of Comedy, and he won the West Virginia, I don't know what you call it, division of the World Series of Comedy. So, yeah, somebody definitely to keep your eye on, man. He's a great comic, very friendly dude. So we hope to work with him again down the road. So good job, Seth. And to the guys that came down from New York, thanks for pulling through, man. I mean, you guys definitely had a little had a tough trip down there, but you guys pulled in, you made it, you got up on stage, you did your thing, very professional. Both guys very funny. That was Adam Gabel and Dan Frigolette, who were doing a big tour, 45 cities, something like that. The two of them had been touring around together, and so Adam and I have been setting up this show here in West Virginia for him for a couple months now, and finally made it happen. Worked out really well. And we actually, besides the time hiccup, we originally shot this podcast in the green room at the Burrito Bar. And me being the novice at this that I am, there was some kind of technical difficulties. The sound got all screwed up. It wouldn't match the video. It was blotchy and poppy and all that kind of stuff. So, it wasn't really worth putting out. But definitely didn't want to let the weekend go past without acknowledging, all the hard work that went in from all the comics. Obviously, the staff at the Burrito Bar, thanks to Ryan Walters and Yarrow and their daughter Xenia, who was actually very impressive. She was working up a storm. So thanks a lot, guys, for having us out, and we look forward to doing it again. I believe our next show there will be June 27th, our next comedy show coming up. So yeah, we had a good time, and I think the guys from New York really had a good time. West Virginians being who we are, we took them under our wing. We fed them and hung out, partied with them. Took them whitewater rafting the next day. They got to do the new river at about 5 feet, and I believe they had a really good time. they said they were a little bit chilly. Apparently their guide told them, they'd be fine in shorts and t-shirts, and then he put on a dry suit. So it's a little fishy, but they had a great time. They really enjoyed being here in West Virginia. They definitely expressed a lot of gratitude toward everybody that was out at the show, and just anybody kind of extended a warm welcome to them. So thanks to everybody that came out and helped to show those guys a good time. It's definitely a big help to the West Virginia comedy scene. To be able to show guys or comics from out of town, we good people, man. We like to laugh just like anybody else. So, we had a great time at the show. And then what did we do the next night? Oh, Brad Kinder. He's getting a lot of shout outs on this thing. DJ'd a party over in Fayetteville, which was, 80s themed, whatever. But it was a good time. Saw a lot of old familiar faces and met a few new people out there. And, of course, Brad was killing it on the old ones and twos, if that's what you call it anymore. But, yeah, it was a good time. And, all in all, despite kind of all the hiccups of the weekend, it was really it was refreshing to me. I feel like, an older version of myself probably would have gotten pretty worked up and upset about situations being what they were, not at anybody in particular, just frustrated that things didn't work out. But it kind of reminded me, that if you're in this type of business, man, if you're out there doing things, shit's gonna happen, man. You're gonna run into hiccups, and you're gonna run into hard times, and God, if that's as bad as it gets, I'll count my lucky stars, because it was no big deal at all, man. We just kind of, we had a situation, we dealt with it. As far as this podcast goes, hopefully I get better and better at working things out and getting this show on the road. So anyhow, guys, once again, check out our feature, Mountain Music Fest, up on the website right now. And I'm going to do my best. We're going to get Dan and Adam. We talked about them coming back down like the end of September to do a show. I believe one of them said they were going to be in town for a wedding, something of that nature. So we were going to go ahead and do the show down at the Wild Bean with those guys. So hopefully we can do that podcast again once I have my shit together a little bit more and have this whole program figured out. So we're looking forward to that. But in the meantime, guys, we've had some people hitting us up about wanting to do this podcast and be featured on the site. Thanks to everybody who's been sending stuff in, and just some of the names you can look forward to seeing too here soon. Kevin E. Bear with Red Wing Soup. We talked about possibly going out and doing a podcast with her and her husband Luke, who are both good friends and also entrepreneurs in their own right. Kevin's got a hell of a business. She cooks and delivers soup and lunches and all that kind of stuff around this area of West Virginia. So looking forward to that. We thought we'd probably go set out at Red Wing Farm where we do the wiffle ball tournament and talk to those guys, and if I can talk them into maybe playing a couple tunes. Maybe we'll break those guitars out. We'll see how many PBRs we get in us first. Also had an old friend of mine from my Newport News days hit me up. His name's Matt Barr. He's an exceptional artist and has done, to the best of my knowledge, he's made his entire living off of doing artwork. And he hit me up and said he'd like to get on here, and talked about maybe coming up to visit and painting some backdrops for the podcast or for the comedy gigs or whatever. So hopefully we can get to all that worked out. And let's see who else. There was a few people have been approaching me saying they'd like to get on here, and all of them are definitely worthy folks. So we're going to start knocking them out, I think, who was I talking to the other night? Oh, Matt Ewing, who owns the Great Googly Moogly in Fayetteville. Nice little shop down there by, what is that, on Keller Avenue. He and I were talking quite a bit about the podcast we'd like to do. And I think that would probably be a pretty fun one for you guys. And Mary Ashton Spearin, who plays in a little duet called Ma'am. I'm not sure what her band member's name is, but yeah, we thought about maybe getting them on. Before I go, guys, I wanted to read this to you. This was kind of our first sort of send in as far as anybody writing to us about, chasing down that Dingus Stinkfinger legacy. This is from a fella named Gary Reynolds. I got this email a couple days ago. It says, congratulations on getting this up and running and best wishes. He said, I first heard the term Stinkfinger used in a very different sense by an old picking buddy and a true mandolin master, now deceased, named David Peters. He used the word to refer to playing solos with lots of notes but very little character, creativity, or substance. I've also heard this called musical masturbation. He was an endlessly inventive and brilliant soloist, but he'd even pinned the term on himself after a solo he thought was not up to par. So he might say with a grin, there was a lot of the old Stinkfinger in that break. Rest in peace, Dave. So anyway, y'all, that's exactly the kind of stuff we like to see and hear. Yeah, absolutely anything you think of that you might want to get featured here or on the website, you guys be sure to let us know. Till next time, guys, go above, live beyond, be a Stinkfinger.